Kazi Ahmed for security deposits, invasion of privacy, and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2047, Sosikian versus Hamad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You had a house.
Yes,
Where?
in Sun Valley.
When did you purchase the house?
I purchased it 4 years ago.
How much did you pay for it?
We purchased it for $585, I believe.
And you sold that house to Mr. Ahmed, what month and year?
We sold it in, I believe it was January.
Of 2022.
Yes,
And you sold it for how much?
$574.5.
Where did you move to?
I moved to Palmdale.
Did you buy something else?
Yes.
And Mr. Ahmed, you took a mortgage out?
Yes.
How much is your mortgage?
I bought the house February 15, 2022, not January, and I pay for it $710,000.
So you paid 710,
Yes.
not 574.
No.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I might not be remembering the exact amount.
Well, that's a big, not exactly. 574 to 710 is a big
Yeah,
difference.
it was 710,
In one
yeah.
case you lost money. In one case, you made money.
It was 710. I apologize.
Okay, so 710.
Yes.
Yes, owner.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How much is your mortgage payment each month?
$5,100.
Okay, and when you sold Mr. Ahmed the house, you didn't have a place to go, according to your complaint, and you asked for a rent back.
I was in escrow.
But you didn't have a place to
Yes,
go. Whether
correct.
you were in escrow or in an igloo in Eskimo, it doesn't mean anything. You didn't have a place
Yes,
to go.
correct.
So you asked them if you could stay in the house and rent it from them. How many people are there in your family?
My family, it's 3 kids.
So who was living in the house? You,
It was
three
me and my
children?
husband, and I have my 2 sons that are with me. My daughter doesn't live with me.
So you asked if you could rent the house back for a few months. He was nice. He said yes. How much rent did he ask for?
He asked for $4,000.
He asked for $4,000?
Yes, for 3 bedrooms, he asked for $4,000.
Your Honor,
He never,
no.
just a second. He asked for $4,000 even
That's
though his
correct.
mortgage was $5,100?
$4,000. I paid a whole total together with everything with security deposit, and I paid $12,000.
No. That's not what I'm asking with security deposit. That's what we're here for your security deposit.
Yeah.
I'm asking you, how much did he originally ask you?
$4,000 was the.
Okay, well, that was pretty generous of him to ask for $4,000, considering his mortgage was $5,100, and he doesn't know you from a hole in the wall. So that makes him a very nice person to rent it back to you so that he's at a loss every month of $1,100. Do you understand?
Yes, I do understand.
Great. And what you're doing here is you want your deposit back.
Yes, that's correct.
$4,000. And Mr. Ahmed says that not only did he have to spend $4,000 to fix the damage you and your family caused to the house while you were living there for those few months, but he had to spend an additional $6,000. That's what he says. He had to spend an additional $6,000 because the place was destroyed because you had a disagreement with him over the date that you were going to be receiving your deposit back. That's his claim. So there were a couple of things that were sort of questionable to me.
I
Madam.
have not damaged though. I have pictures of the house when I left.
Just a
there was
sec.
no damage.
That's a fine.
Lie.
You're going to show them to me.
Okay.
The one thing that I found strange, so now I have the facts straight. So you moved into the house in February?
In the house?
Yes.
Yes.
So you rented in February and March?
Yes.
2 months?
We moved out April 6th.
Okay. Now, you told him you were moving out, and he came to the house to do an inspection. And that was before your move-out date. On what date did you meet together for him to go through the house? And let me refresh your recollection. You came to the house, he walked around with you, and at that time, he said these few things need repair, and there was not extensive damage anywhere. And when he got to the house, he rang the bell and he opened the door and you looked through the house.
Yes.
On what date was that? Do you remember?
The day that I gave him my keys to the door.
No, that's not the date you moved out. That's the date that he came there to do a walkthrough with you, your husband, and or children. I don't know who was there. And
Your Honor, he made a lot of walkthroughs.
no,
He
I'm
made, like,
asking the last one that he
The
made.
last one?
Yes.
The last one he did, I don't remember the exact date, but he had
Well,
like 4 or 5
do you remember
walkthroughs.
the date? What was the date?
March 23.
And when you went to the house on March 23rd, and they had been living there February, all of February, and most of March, was the house in pretty good shape on March 23rd? Was it in the same shape on March 23rd when you saw it on April 6th?
Yes, because when I saw the damages of my house, I request her, what is this? I show her.
No, just a second. What did you show her?
About the floor damage, wall damage, and there is...
Oh, well, show me on the pictures that you took on March 23rd.
He
Okay.
quite damaged it himself from his construction that he did.
Just a second.
He did construction while I was living there. For the whole 2 months I was there, he did construction.
Okay.
You know what I find problematic in both your complaint and
I would
answer?
like to pass my evidence.
Just a second. I'm going to tell you what I find difficult in both your complaint and his answer. That when you left the house, you took the doorbell with you. When you left the house, you took the doorbell with you. Now, he bought the house. He's paid you for the house. You've got $710,000. On the day the house closed, there is no question in my mind that there was a doorbell. Okay. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have no right to take anything from that house once it's sold. You're a renter.
Your Honor, I believe I do, because on the document it says the only thing that I'm supposed to leave for him is the washer and dryer and stove.
Madam, that's something. Have you never bought property before, or are you just trying to be obtuse? I would never think I bought and sold dozens of homes. Never in one contract. In all, and I'm a lawyer, my husband's a lawyer, grandchildren are lawyer, my children are lawyers. Not in one contract does it ever talk about a doorbell. It is assumed that you leave the doorbell, that you leave the toilets, that...
No, that was not a doorbell, it was a Ring camera.
I don't care if it was a Ring camera, I don't care if it was an MGM camera or a universal picture camera. It's not yours. It's part of the property. You have no right to take it. Period. Put your hand down. Sometimes when it doesn't appear that you're losing, you're supposed to be quiet. Do you understand? You have no right to take certain things. Once the house is sold, nothing there belongs to you. Nothing. You're a renter.
That was before the house was...
Just a second. Are you telling me that when you stayed there after the house was sold, for the 2 months that you lived there, are you telling me you lived without a doorbell? Are you telling me that you lived without a doorbell? No, you lived with a doorbell.
It's a Ring. Your Honor, it's a Ring camera.
I don't care what it is.
It was not the doorbell. It's not the doorbell. It's a Ring camera. You can replace. You can take it off and take it to your next property. That's something that I bought.
You bought a lot of things in that house, I'm sure. Did you buy wallpaper? Did you buy flooring? Did you buy carpeting? You can't take it. It doesn't belong to you. It travels with the property. When you say it's a Ring camera, when you ring the doorbell, does that activate the Ring camera?
Yes, it does.
And when you took out the whole Ring camera, did you put in a doorbell?
The doorbell was already there. I never touched the doorbell. That's why I took the camera, the Ring camera, because that belongs to me. I bought that. I didn't touch the doorbell. That's part of the house. That's part of the property. It's in the wall.
Can I see a picture of what she took?
My doorbell is not here. Here is the point.
I did not touch the doorbell. Again, he did a lot of remodeling. He probably did all the damages himself. He's trying to blame it on me.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's
You're not allowed to take it. Period.
I have a lot of evidence.
You're not allowed to take it now. So I'm starting with your case. You want your deposit back.
Yes.
This gets deducted from your deposit. Did you replace this?
Not yet.
Did you get an estimate for its replacement?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. And not only doorbell, Your Honor. She took the curtain rods and also all the light bulbs.
Just a second.
Okay. Give me some time.
I don't have time.
Can I please explain what really happened and what I went through with this guy from day one?
No.
He let me
Right
rent?
here.
No.
Because I want to prove my case, because he's wrong and he's a crook.
No. Madam, you rented the house.
Yes.
For $4,000 a month.
Yes.
A 3-bedroom house.
I paid him amount.
And you paid him the amount, and you stayed there. If there was something wrong with the house, or if you didn't like the fact that he was doing construction there, or he was coming in and out of the house, even though he was renting it to you for $1,100 less than his mortgage payment, okay? You could have moved.
Your Honor, let me just tell you that he promised me he kept texting me over and over, bringing renters to show my side of the place to live. While we were living there, he harassed me every day by text messages and phone calls. Can I show the house? Every single day.
Who cares? I don't care.
But that caused a lot of tension to my family.
I don't care. Move.
She intentionally damaged.
Don't tell me what you intentionally did.
Sure, this is the damages picture.
I didn't.
Shh. I'm going to dismiss your case. Do you understand? 1, 2, 3. It will be my joy.
Mary Totzikian claims her former landlord, Kazi Ahmed, refused to return her security deposit and harassed her. Kazi is countersuing for vandalism.
Now, if you didn't like to live in a place where you were being constantly harassed, you and your husband now have a $110,000 profit from selling your house.
I gave him a $10,000 discount on that property. And he still thinks I did something.
Did you understand what I just said to you? Move. Say, listen, it's not working out. You're bringing too many people in and out of the house. It's not working for me. Wait just a second. We'd like to move out before. Did you ever say that to him? The answer is no.
Because I had a lease with him.
Did you ever?
Deposit
Just a second.
Yes.
Did you ever say that to him? I would like to give you your property back earlier. We don't need it for 2 months because I don't want to be harassed. We're going to move out into a hotel until our house is ready. But you stayed there.
No, I told them that we can't keep having people come and knock on our door.
Okay.
I made it very clear.
You're not getting compensated for that. You're a big girl. You made a lot of money on this house. You asked for a deal for him to rent it back to you. He said fine. He's going to tell me that he wanted to have his mortgage covered, and you were not prepared to do that. And you were not prepared to do that.
Your Honor, let me just tell you, the living situation for that 2 months that I was there was hell with him. He caused me all kinds of anxiety. The last day when I was supposed to give him the keys so I can leave, he opened the door and started arguing with me in front of my 11-year-old kid. He made him cry. He caused a lot of trauma to our family.
Your Honor, her son was not there.
He's a monster. He doesn't care about anything else. And then he did remodeling. Now he's trying to get the money out of me to pay for it because he's broke. That's
okay. First of all, this comes off the deposit, and then I want to see the estimate.
All I want is my $4,000 security deposit.
Well, I'm not sure you're going to get it.
His rent on time, just like a good renter.
Okay.
But all I wanted was my deposit back. That's it.
On March 23rd of this year, when he came to do an initial walkthrough with you before you were leaving, did you discuss deposit? The answer is yes. Just a second.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
And at that time, did he say to you, this needs fixed, this needs fixed? Did he say anything to you? Nothing. Did he tell you that he had, by law, 21 days to return your deposit?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you say to him?
I said, that's fine, I will wait the 20 days, but
No, just a second.
Yes.
You said it was fine. I'll wait the 20 days.
Yeah, to get my deposit, yes.
Okay, and then what happened?
I have every text that we sent to each other.
I'm not reading every text that you sent to each other. I'm asking you after March 23rd. Go to your March 23rd texts.
I do have here.
He basically said he's
Not basically. I said go to your March 23rd and thereafter
I highlight, Your Honor, for you.
After March 23rd.
Yes.
Go to you have text messages? That's
Yes,
what you said. You're looking at me.
Okay. I have a March 23 here. He led me on in the text messages saying that you help me pay my mortgage, I will help and give you a security
I'm asking you to show me the text messages after March 23rd.
This is the March 23rd.
And thereafter, you pay deposit back when there isn't any damage to the house. You don't use my deposit for anything else. You hold it for damages. Here is the notice. I would like you to meet with you and your husband. Please let me know when you are available. Please don't threaten me with my deposit.
I wasn't.
He was threatening me.
I wasn't.
Please don't threaten me. You mean threaten me with my deposit. Can you show me where on the contract it says the washer and dryer stays?
That I found it stays, and we did leave it there.
She tried to take with her that too.
Again, Your Honor, I'm just here for my deposit because I did my responsibilities and paid the rent. I was a good tenant. I kept the house beautifully clean and everything. I deserve my deposit back. That's why I'm here. I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to see him ever again. I just want my deposit.
I know what you want.
That's it.
That's why we're in court. If he felt as if you deserved your deposit, he would have given you.
And if I left the house perfect, he needs to give it to me because I didn't do no damages to that property.
Okay.
He's lying.
Can you show me where the contract says the washer and dryer stays, because I don't see it? I made it very clear to everyone that I paid for it, that it's going with me.
That was before I looked at the document.
Just a second.
Yes.
So that's before you looked at the document?
Yes.
When did you look at the document?
I looked at it. It was at home when I noticed it.
Did you respond to him after the 23rd and say to him, I realized that the washer and dryer stays?
No, because he's been threatening me constantly. Why am I going to respond to him? He's been a monster.
Can you please show me photographs of what the house looked like?
He's been a complete monster,
show me
Your Honor.
Just a second. Show me what the house looked like on April 6th.
This is the pictures I have. This is what it looks like. Perfect little house.
Don't speak. Just show me.
I'm just trying to say that I'm not here for anything empty. I'm here for my deposit.
No, that's not what you're here for, just your deposit, madam. That's not what you filed a claim for. An invasion of privacy and pain and suffering. There's a whole bunch of things that you're suing for. Okay, I see these pictures.
The house is in
just a second.
great shape.
Just a second. And is this your little dog?
Yes, it is. The house is in great shape. He has no complaints.
He's going to show me pictures. I'm going to look at them.
I deserve my deposit back. That's all I know. He wasted my time. He lied to me.
Can I see your photographs of what the house looks like?
Your Honor, this is the picture when I bought the property with good condition.
Okay.
And this is the picture for she intentionally damaged.
Don't tell me what you intentionally did.
Sure, this is the damages picture.
I didn't do that.
I'm going to dismiss your case. Do you understand? 1, 2, 3. It will be my joy. Anybody who takes out a doorbell ring or whatever it is and leaves holes and mollies in the wall, which is exactly what you did, just like the washer and dryer. Okay.
Your Honor, this is the previous.
Don't speak. Okay. Now I'd like to see the photographs that you took April 6th or thereafter. When did you take those photographs? On what day?
I start March 23rd to April 6th.
I'd like to see the photographs.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No, some of this damage, sir, that were in the door hinges, that's not damage that they did. That's not damage that I can ascribe to them. There are some holes in the walls. I know you're showing me this. That you have to deal with.
I sold my property to him as is. I did have tenants there. I'll tell you right now.
No, I want to know what rent the tenant was paying you. That's a number, not a story.
Mary Totsekian accuses her former landlord, Kazi Ahmed, of keeping her security deposit and harassing her. Kazi claims Mary vandalized his house before she left.
Okay, I don't know what this is that you're showing me in this picture.
Because there is a water leak from there. So the water goes in the cabinet inside.
Okay.
Okay.
I assume that you have some sort of insurance because they didn't do this damage.
Okay.
They didn't do this damage when they were there. I would like, sir, to see some of the pictures before and after. This is moldy and it's dirty. So they didn't clean the bathtub. Where are you living now, sir?
With my mom.
And who's living in the house?
I rent it out.
What's the name of the people that you rented the house to?
It's Walter.
When did you rent it? On what date?
I don't remember exact date.
Well, you remember. You remember everything else. You remember April 6th. You remember March 23rd. Now remember what day they came.
Okay. June.
So actually the house was, just a second. So actually the house was unrented for about a month and a half.
Right. Because I...
Shh, not a because. Now, how much did you rent the house for to Walter?
$4,000.
Could you explain to me why you're renting it to somebody for less than what you pay in your mortgage?
Sure. So here is the American dream, because I came here 2013 and I started live with my mom. So me and my wife working so hard to buy the house. We save every penny day by day, and we saw a lot of house last couple years.
I'm not listening. Don't tell me your life story. I want to know why you're renting the house for less than your mortgage payment.
Because no, the people is very nice, and they said they're going to increase the rent January. They give me $5,000. That's why.
Do you have a lease with them?
I do.
You have a lease with them. And
yes.
Does the lease indicate that the rent is being raised in January?
Yes.
What?
That whole thing that he said that his place was not rented for a month, that's a lie, because he was renting the place out while I was living there. So he had renters all in the backside.
Just a second, you mean they were living with you?
They were living in that back house. That house is split with a wall, so there's empty rooms in the back. So he was literally renting it out, boom, boom, like right away.
Just a second.
While I was there.
Is what you're telling me that there are two sources of income from that house?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Mr. Ahmed.
Yes.
Listen to me carefully.
Sure.
How many tenants do you have in that house?
3.
Shh, shh.
Oh.
Look at me.
Sure.
How many tenants? You have Walter,
yes.
and he pays you $4,000.
Yes.
You have another tenant.
Yes.
Okay, and the other tenant is in the back.
Yes.
And what does the other tenant pay you?
Okay, the one...
No, that's a figure.
Oh,
what does
okay.
the other tenant pay you? Don't look up there. You know exactly how much?
$3,000.
$3,000. So you cover your mortgage, and you make a little money.
Yes.
Now, while she was living there, pay attention.
Yes.
While she was living there, were you renting the back?
Yes.
Yes. And how much were you getting?
Okay.
That's a number. Okay. Before you answer the question, think. How much were you getting from the people in the back?
Same.
Same what?
Because that's not my...
But just a second. What do you mean the same? The same as what?
The people used to live there long time with her. That's her tenant, not mine. She just transferred to me.
I see. So you had a tenant living in the back.
Yes.
You had a tenant living in the back. And what was the rent that you were charging your tenant?
I sold my property to him as is. I did have tenants there. Yes, I did. And one of the tenants, I'll tell you right now,
No, I want to know what rent the tenant was paying you.
That's what I'm saying.
Just give me that's a number, not a story.
1,000, and I would say 2,000 altogether.
Sounds to me as if everybody did very well. You have to pay for the doorbell. Now I want a receipt for the doorbell. The rest of the pictures are nonsense. And you had no loss of income. Just a second.
Yes,
I want the estimate for the doorbell. That's what I want. That's going to be deducted from the... Put your hand down. Otherwise, you're gone. Do you understand? Doorbell.
$84.
$84.
Yes, something like that.
Do the math for me. I think it's $3,900, but $4,000 less 84.
$39.16.
$39.16. Sir, I've looked at your photographs, and I don't see any damage that you can ascribe to the plaintiff that I think
No, Your Honor.
mitigates in your favor, other than the doorbell, which I actually find outrageous.
Right, Your Honor.
And you had no loss of income. So clearly what you did was purchase this house, and you make an income from this house every month.
After I pay my mortgage, and there is a service like expenses, and also there is a like utilities bill is so expensive now.
I don't care.
Insurance,
$39.16. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your counterclaims dismissed. We are finished with this case.
Right.
Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
I deserve my security deposit back. I did very well with paying the rent, and I feel like this was fair.
I'm not happy about it because I'm the buyer and I bought the house. There is a lot of damages after she moved out.
He was pretty much texting and having renters come and knock on my door every day without even giving me a notice ahead of time.
I was always giving to her 2-3 days notice to go in the property.
It was not easy, but you know, we moved on to something better, so.
She's still living in the American dream.
You know, this case is sort of an example of you read a complaint and you read an answer, and you sort of have a predetermination of what the case might look like and how that shifts. Because when I originally saw these people, I said, you know, she took the doorbell and the ring thing with her. Why? And it was with the washer and dryer. She said, I'm taking it. It was in the contract that it stayed. But then when I got to know both of these people, Sarah, they were both a little bit of hustlers. Nobody told me up front that there was a back apartment that they rented. And I said, why was this guy being such a good guy?
Yeah. And he didn't
his
say,
house?
well, actually, I'm not that great of a guy. I rent the backside and cover my expenses.
I rent the back for $3,000,
Yeah.
and it all covers his expenses. They actually, both of them, deserved each other a little bit. He didn't deserve another $6,000 in addition to the $4,000, because I didn't see that much in damage. I mean, you looked at some of the pictures.
I saw some of the photos, and it looked like
holes, you know, from pictures in the wall.
But not like what he was describing in his answer, like punched holes in the wall and ripped up flooring. We didn't see any of that.
There was nothing. Anyway, she made a lot of money.
He's doing just fine.
And he's doing.
Bernadeschi is suing salesman Eric West for the cost of skincare products.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2114, Bernadeschi versus West.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you pronounce your last name for me?
Bernadeschi?
Bernadeschi.
Yes.
Well, I read your complaint. I somehow was taken back to my own experience just walking down any street that has a new cosmetic place. So I sort of believe I understand what your experience was, at least initially, with Mr. West. Mr. West, you're a salesman for what company? And where are they located?
Well, they're all over the United States, but I worked for one in San Francisco.
Where are the products manufactured?
In California, actually.
Where?
Chatsworth, California.
Okay. And they have brick and mortar stores all over the country, and they have many products, but under that one name.
Yeah, they have many products.
Many products, but they're all...
Yes. They have multiple products and multiple locations all through California, and it looks like a bit of Arizona as well.
How many?
Upwards of 20 locations.
Okay. And can you tell me, Sarah, is it a corporation?
I'd assume so. Their About page.
How long have you worked for the company, sir?
That company in that location, about 3 years.
Where is the corporate headquarters for the company?
It's located in San Mateo.
Do you know if the company was incorporated in the state of California?
Yes, I believe it was.
Under that name? It's not an answer.
Oh, yes, sorry, my apologies.
It looks like it was an LLC out of Oregon, but is listed as inactive as of 12/22 of 2020.
There's no company in California?
It just says the jurisdiction in which the LLC was created is Oregon. That's as far as I could tell. They have a company address that's listed in a head office
Is
in
where?
Portland, Oregon.
What do you know about Portland, Oregon?
It's a lot of hippies.
A lot of hippies. What about your company?
Oh.
Do you know anything about your company?
Yes, I think it's probably another location there as well.
Do you know anything about the company that you work for? Was it incorporated in the state of Oregon?
No, it was incorporated in California, and I think Oregon maybe has a franchise.
I can't tell from public record anything
From
further.
the state of California.
I tried looking up their headquarter information, and all I got was this Cosmetics LLC from Oregon.
And while I'm taking this information, I want you to take a look and see if there are any court cases. Let's try the state of California and the state of Oregon.
Sure.
And the only thing that you could find was the Oregon company under that name that is no longer active.
It might not be the same company, but it has the same name listed in Oregon, so I would assume so, but there's no information on their website about their headquartered information.
Anyway, Ms. Bernardacci, trying to think of the date that you made these purchases. What date was it?
It was February the 21st, 2022.
And you were shopping, you were walking with your dog. Had a little dog?
Yes.
What kind of dog?
A Shih Tzu.
A Shih Tzu,
Yes.
my fave.
Oh, yeah, mine too. She's my third one.
You were walking in a mall. What mall and where?
In Santa Clara, California.
That's where you were working? How long had you been working there?
3 years.
Okay, this is what the case is about as far as I can tell. You were walking. Was it this gentleman who was standing outside?
No, it was
somebody
not.
else.
It was somebody else with a
It was somebody else.
basket.
One of the other people who works at your business?
I was the one who offered her a sample.
Outside.
No, in the front of the store.
Well, but it's in the front of the store.
I didn't step outside of the store. I was in the front of our store, not outside of it, but inside the store, and I handed her a sample.
Just a second. Sort of inconsistent with my life's experience of these things, but let's see. Had you gone to his store?
No.
You're walking through the mall. Is it an indoor mall or an outdoor mall?
Indoor.
And when you passed that store, tell me what happened.
I was en route to a specific store. A man with a basket was standing in front of the store.
So there was a man outside with a basket.
It was a basket. Holding a
Where
basket.
outside?
Right outside of the store.
And it wasn't this gentleman?
No, it was not.
Tell me what the person looked like who gave you the
He
sample.
I believe he was Caucasian. He was shorter than Eric. I believe he was partially bald, and I believe he wore glasses, but I can't be sure. I would know him if I saw him.
Okay. And so continue with your story. You're standing there with a basket of samples outside the store.
Okay.
Totally consistent with my own personal experience.
Okay, so he offered me a sample of a product. And I said, no, thank you, I'm not interested. And he said, no, please. He said, you'll like it. And I said, I'm in a hurry, and I'm not interested in any of your products. At that point, Eric walked a couple of steps out from the store and started showering my dog and myself with compliments, just like over the top. And he said, why don't you come in my store? I've got a surprise for you. You are going to love me, he said. I said,
So he was doing his salesman shtick.
yeah, pretty
And
much.
from the smile on his face, it's exactly what he was doing, his salesman shtick.
Yeah, and pretty much
You work
ran.
on commission.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so now he's showering both you and your little Shih Tzu with compliments and how beautiful the Shih Tzu is and how he's going to give you things that are going to take away this line and that line and this crease or whatever.
And I sound like such a sweet and kind person that, he's got a surprise for me.
I got it. Okay. Go ahead. So he got you into the store.
At that point, he asked me to have a seat. And again, I said, really, I'm not interested. I want to go. So then someone took my dog. And
Where was the dog?
on a leash in my hand. And he says, here, I'll take your dog. And I said, no, I'll hold her. And he said, no, I'm going to take care of her. And I'm going, wait a minute. And next thing I knew, Eric was practically on top of me. This chair was located in a position, well, his chair was much higher than mine.
So you were sitting in a chair like mine?
Yeah, well, a chair, just like
A makeup chair?
yeah,
Or a hairdresser's chair?
kind of like a makeup chair,
And he was sitting on a chair or a stool?
a stool.
Stool. Is that right, Eric? I'm talking to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's a yes. Okay. And your stool was higher than her chair.
That is incorrect. We both were sitting on stools.
The same stool.
The same stool.
Was yours higher?
No, it was the same size.
Okay, go ahead.
So at that point, he just started applying different products to I believe he started with my hand. And then, let me try some of this on your face. And I'm looking around for my dog, like, what's going on here? And because he was very aggressive and pushy and
Just tell me what he did without trying to editorialize.
okay, so basically
Not basically. He put on all this goop on your face, on your hands. Somebody else in the store was holding your dog while he was putting this on you. He didn't force you into the chair. He aggressively coaxed you into the chair, is what you're telling me, by complimenting you. I mean, he didn't physically drag you into the store. You walked in by yourself.
right.
Okay. He was using his best aggressive salesman routine. Not easy to get somebody in the store, right, Eric? I mean, it was never easy to get me in one of those stores, and I shop with her all the time. And she's got more lotions and potions and stuff on her counter than any other human being I know, and I've never seen anybody successful in giving her a free sample and getting her into the store. So you must be very good, because we have a few of those stores right in the neighborhood. You must be really talented.
He is.
Just a second. So before we finish with her, and since you originally started, Mr. West, with, no, it was me outside, it wasn't you outside initially, it was somebody else. You came out afterwards. Well, actually, I believe her. So I want you to understand that her description of the person who initially approached her was so specific. And then the fact that you came out and joined that person, because then you became a tag team, is totally convincing to me. I want you to understand that.
I didn't feel that I was going to be able to leave the store. I've been held against my will before and kidnapped. And I was literally traumatized at that point.
When were you held against your will and kidnapped?
Linda Bernadeschi claims salesman Eric West owes her a refund for skincare products she never wanted.
Do you have family, Eric?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Living family?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You don't want to make a fool out of yourself here, right?
Absolutely not.
Great. So I want you to understand that I believe the plaintiff when she tells me you weren't the initial person out there who stopped her with a free sample.
I was the only one working that day, Your Honor.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
Because you couldn't have got her where you got her to, which is the story she's going to finish, because by the time she got out of the store, she had $8,000 worth of your product.
Which is also not accredited by the Better Business Bureau and has multiple complaints out against them. So, just for the record.
No, that's an important record. Keep looking.
Okay, so at that point, I decided I'm going to leave and take my dog and get out of here. And I attempted to get up, and he was sitting higher up than I was in such close proximity that I was unable to fully stand up. And as he saw me attempting to, he comes back over with another product. He was across the store, and
Well, if he was across the store, Ms. Bernadacci, if he was across the store, then he wasn't hovering over you. So what I tried to tell you before is I want you to tell me not what you think is best for your case. If either he's standing over you so you couldn't get up, or he's across the room. If he's across the room because he went to get another product, you could have gotten up and left.
no, actually, he wasn't across the room. He was just like, I think it was at the desk behind.
Whatever, he wasn't right on top of you.
No.
You don't understand. I don't believe that you were held against your will in the store. I don't believe that they did that. I think he was overly aggressive and he chose a target.
Yeah, and I was...
Okay, and at what point did you purchase all of this product, which is the subject of this case, because you want your money back?
I didn't feel that I was going to be able to leave the store. I've been held against my will before and kidnapped. And I was literally traumatized at that point.
When were you held against your will and kidnapped?
Oh, this was like 15 years ago, maybe?
Well, I would remember that, whether it was 15 years ago. I want you to tell me about that. That forms part of who you are and who the person is that I have to consider with regard to whether or not this was a forced sale or just an overly aggressive salesman. So I want you to tell me, was there a police report of a prior kidnapping? There was.
Yes.
And did they actually find the people who kidnapped you?
Yes.
Was there a trial with regard to those people?
I don't believe so, because the guy was on parole, and so he didn't want to go to trial.
So they violated his parole and he went back to prison?
Yes.
And that was in California?
Yes. But
So when you were in the store and you said you felt as if you couldn't leave, you were under pressure, how many people were in the store?
well, there was Eric and the gentleman that was standing outside of the store, and then a woman came from behind the register in the back room, and he was telling me how this woman is a world-renowned facial beauty massage, whatever, expert, running drag on me, pretty much. Let's just put it that way. Anyway,
Now you're up from your chair. I want to know how the sale came about.
well, because I didn't feel that I was going to be able to leave.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
Okay, so I said, look, I don't even have any money to cover this. And I'm looking...
To cover
he
what?
He asked me for my
To cover what?
identification, to cover the cost of these beauty products he wanted to sell me.
Okay, how many were there?
There was 4 or 5 different... creams, and then there was a device that, I don't know what you call them, but it was a device that he had used on me while I was sitting in the chair. And, you know, telling me, look in the mirror, doesn't this... You know, can't you tell a big difference? And he even took my phone and took a couple pictures of me. He says, look at it. I said, I can tell a little bit of a difference, but it's not worth the money. And again, I don't even have the money, so I really need to go. So he asked for my driver's license to register the product. And then he told me...
To register the product?
The product that I bought.
Oh, so you did say you would buy the device?
Yeah.
You did say you would buy the device. And how much was the device?
It was just shy of $8,000. I've got the receipts right
I'd like to see it. Do you have it with you?
Oh, the device?
Yeah.
No, I wish I would have brought it with me, but it hasn't been opened. I still have it. I haven't touched it. You wanted to see the receipts?
Yes.
Okay. They're right here.
By the way, what time of day did you go to the store?
This was approximately 6:30 because it was near closing time. Oh, here's the rest of them. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going specifically for one lipstick. That was all I was at the mall for. And it was almost closing.
Sarah Rose, take a look under that name.
I didn't find a device on their website. I already looked, if that's what you're...
You looked at this 3D ultrasound and face body?
I've just found 6 products that are creams for face and body on the website.
I'd like to see what this 3D ultrasound is, this $8,000 piece of equipment that you sold her. You have a picture of it? Okay. Could you get that for me? He's going to give it to Sarah. Sarah's going to look up this nonsense.
Thank you.
Some more receipts.
So what I see that you did was spread some of this around different credit cards.
Yes.
And you want to tell me, how did that happen?
Well, I said, these aren't even my credit cards. I'm on the roommate's. He says, well, you could put half on your roommate's credit card. And I says, no, I am not going to do that. And he says, yeah, make him pay for it. And I'm looking at this guy like, what's going on?
What are you doing with your roommate's credit cards?
Because he's an older gentleman. I've got the power of attorney, and I shop for him. He's not able to do all that.
Is he a roommate, or are you a caregiver?
He's a roommate. We've lived together for 30 years. Anyway, just a very
He hasn't been old and sick for 30 years.
Well, he's kind of...
He may be old and sick now, but he wasn't old and sick for 30 years.
Oh, well, no. I mean...
Do you live together as a couple for 30 years? Do you live together as an almost couple?
No, he's like my father, almost. We each have our separate rooms, and I pretty much take care of his house and cook for him, and he doesn't go many places. He's pretty much a recluse. He doesn't like to go to the store. And so I do all the grocery shopping and everything.
Okay. Who hired you?
It wasn't hire. I was in business with him.
Okay, well, but it's getting more interesting. Who leases the store where you are? Don't look up in the air. It's going to get only worse.
Linda Bernadeschi is accusing salesman Eric West of holding her against her will and selling her an unwanted skincare wand.
Do we have a picture of that thing? Juven. It's.
Yeah, I have it.
What?
I have it. It looks like this. It's got this on one side, and then I don't know what this is trying to show you.
Ultrasound, face and body, slimming.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like she needs slimming.
She asked for something that would tighten her skin, as she said that in her younger years she had a lot of issues with drug abuse when we had our conversations, and she's asking for something that can actually help her look more youthful and help her skin tighten. And this is something that she discussed with me when we were sitting at the table.
What's your educational experience?
High school, college.
Where?
I went to like a couple film and television schools.
I asked you what college you went to.
Oh, Olympic College in Washington State.
And was that a 4-year program?
2-year.
2-year. Is that a brick and mortar college, or is that an online college?
Brick and mortar.
And what did you study there?
Just the basics.
What basics?
Gen Eds, you know, your associates, your Gen Eds. And it had nothing to do with my sales and skincare, but my sales and skincare I actually deal with every client fairly, and I pride myself
Don't tell me
in
that you
integrity.
deal with every client fairly. She wanted her money back the next day.
She didn't want her money back the next day. She didn't even come back the next day.
When did she come back?
It was like a week or two later, she came back to the store and wanted a refund, and I said, well,
No, just a second. Okay. She came into the store on February 21st, 2022. You get home with all these products. You spread it around. Let's say this is aggressive salesmanship. Now you're home. You had a previous experience with being taken against your will and held against your will, according to what you told me.
Yes.
So you know that when that happens, the police get involved. You didn't go to the police
No, not
when you left to say, I was held against my will. You took the products and you took the products home, right?
Well, I didn't go directly home. I went to my friend's house. She lives 2 blocks from there. I was so traumatized I couldn't drive, and I was beside myself.
Okay, that was February 21st.
Yes.
So what did you do next with regard to Mr. West?
Okay, so by that time it was about 9 o'clock at night, 10 when I got home, and I thought, well, I'll call tomorrow to tell him I want a refund. Actually, I called him and told him that, and he says, well, you're supposed to be down here.
When did you call him and tell him you wanted a refund?
It was the next day when he called me. He called me the next day and says, where are you? And I says, I'm at home. And he says, well, how come you're not here for your free 12 facials that I offered you? And I says, I don't want anything from you. And I didn't ask for anything from him.
So he called you to come in for a free facial?
Yes.
And?
And I says, I don't plan on coming in for any of the facials, much less 12 of them. What I'd like to come in for is a refund on these products that I don't need, and I felt pressured into buying yesterday, and I can't, I don't want them.
You say that didn't happen for a week?
Your Honor, she had a contract with us for 6 months worth of treatments, hydrofacials, that we included in her purchase that she signed. And
I'd like to see what she signed.
it's actually on my phone. I didn't print out a copy.
Why not?
Because I was rushing this morning and I was...
Well, you were rushing this morning. You knew you were coming to court for days. What do you mean you didn't print out a contract? Do you have a copy of a contract that you signed?
Yes, I do.
Fine. I'll take a look at your copy.
I also have a police report. Do you want to see the
I'd like to
police?
see a police report, and I'd like to see a copy of the contract you signed.
Okay, and here's some fictitious businesses that he's got as well. Okay,
I
the
can't hear you.
contract.
Just hand me the stuff. Okay, this is the police report. I want to see the contract. I'll read the police report while you're looking for it.
Here's the contract.
Skincare, is that your company?
Is that the product you're referring to?
Yes.
Those are the medical devices that we actually retail in the store, and we demonstrate them on the clients. And then typically clients, when they see a difference, they're like, oh, wow.
Listen,
And-
you're not selling me, sir.
Oh,
Stop
I understand.
This is not a sales pitch to me. What's your commission when you sell an $8,000 light to make your skin nice? What's your commission?
20%.
So yours personally is 20%. How much did they buy them for?
I'm not sure.
What do you think?
I have no-
What do you think?
I'm
Take a good guess. You've been working for them for 3 years.
I don't know, and I think that you'd have to factor in like the rent for the establishment and all of those things. So I don't really know what the profit margin would be.
Your Honor, on their website, they state that each individually owned brick and mortar store is not affiliated with them, that they
So
run
it's
their own
franchise.
stores. It's sort of a franchise-esque situation.
Who owns your store, or is it a franchise?
It's a franchise?
It's not a question. It sounded like you were asking me a question. Is it a company-owned store, or is it a franchise?
There's a company that owns the store.
But it's a franchise.
Yes, I believe so. I'm not familiar with the legalities of the location and all the business agreements. And
Who hired
contracts.
you?
It wasn't hire. I was in business with him.
Okay, well, but it's getting more interesting. Okay,
Yes.
so it wasn't a hire. You're in business with a man whose name is what? Don't think about it.
I don't
If
know.
you're in business with somebody, you're a smart boy. You went
don't know how to pronounce his
You went to a
last name.
2-year college. What's the name of your business partner?
I don't know how to pronounce the last name.
What?
I don't know how to pronounce the last name.
Spell it.
So I don't actually know how to spell it. I'm sorry.
And who leases the store where you are? Don't look up in the air. It's going to get only worse.
Linda Bernadeschi is suing salesman Eric West for deceptively selling her skincare products she never wanted.
I'm not sure she's entitled to a refund on all the products that she bought. I'm not thoroughly convinced yet that this was a situation where she was held against her will. But I've always been fascinated by these stores that want me to pop in and they give me a little white plastic thing and they stand outside, try this product. And, you know, you pass by and you say, no, thank you. I'm not interested. No, you're beautiful. You know, this can take away the wrinkles in your face. I say, I make my money with my wrinkles in my face. Right? And I don't want to take them away. I want them to stay. So that's what it is. So I've always been fascinated as to the business aspect of it. And I digress for a moment because there was some scam company that was all over the internet that said I had created a skin line years ago. Couldn't find them. And they had all kinds of accolades, and it looked like it was sold through major companies online and endorsed. They had pictures all over. It was a scam. And they've done the same thing to numerous other people. And it's all scam. And you can't find them because they're on telephone banks someplace, here and here. And as soon as the federal authorities get to one, they close down one and they go someplace else, sometimes offshore. So we were unable to find them. So all you could do is get on the horn and say to people, I don't own a skincare line. I've never endorsed a skincare line. Don't buy products that say that they're mine. So I've always wanted to know about these guys who stand in front and try to get you into the store with a little packet of freebies. So now it's your joint business?
Yes.
How much did you put up?
I honestly, I can't recall.
You can't recall how much money you put up? You've only been there 3 years.
I know, I don't remember how much the initial investment was.
Well, give me an idea. Was it $5,000, $500?
A lot more than that.
Well, if it's a lot more than that, you want to tell me how much your contribution was.
Couple hundred thousand.
It was a couple of $100,000. That was your contribution to the store. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you get the $200,000 from?
I worked for it.
For whom?
I worked different jobs.
How old are you?
37.
And you had $200,000. You said a couple of $100,000. That's two. You had $200,000 so that you could invest that. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Yes. And before having a skin business, I had a grocery store on the XL Mobile campus in Spring, Texas.
Okay.
We generated some revenue, and so I thought to open a spa and do products, sell products, and go that route. And I really do pride myself in integrity. I literally, every client that walks in, and I'm not just saying that.
So if you pride yourself in integrity, and within a few days of being in your store and selling this lady who had absolutely no intention of going shopping that day, an $8,000 beauty wand that's going to make her look like she's 30, she says, listen, I made a big mistake. I don't want this product. I want to bring it back. Let's say I keep the creams, but this was $8,000, and I don't have that. Why didn't you take it back?
Your Honor.
That's a question, Mr. West. If you pride yourself on integrity.
I'm explaining. She came back way past the allotted time.
What's the allotted time?
We have a 14-day in-store exchange only for in-store credit policy when you purchase a product. She told me that she was using her husband's credit card. Now I'm coming to find out that it's her roommate or guy that she's living with. I don't know the whole story, but I can tell you that the whole interaction with her was extremely professional. There was no aggression.
I just asked you why. Now you have a lady who I've met, actually.
Yes.
Just here. And she gets home and she said, my God, what did I do? How did I get this? A lot of fast talking here and a lot going on. And now I'm walking out with almost $10,000 worth of product. And I was going to buy a lipstick. And she says to you, I want to return this wand thing, whatever it is, for $8,000. And if what you're saying is you run a reputable business and you're busy and you've had enough money to put down $200,000 in this business, by the way, you do file taxes every year, don't you? Yeah. When was the last time you filed income tax returns? What year?
This year.
How much did you earn?
$173,000.
From this business?
From different businesses, but yes.
Are you in this location all the time?
Yes, typically in that location, yes.
When you're typically not in that location, where are you?
Florida.
Where?
Miami.
What do you do in Miami?
Well, most people do, sit on the beach.
Well, how often do you work?
Pretty much almost every month. And I take my weekends and I'll fly and spend 3 days and then work.
In Miami?
Yeah.
You go from California to Miami. Great. And she paid how much for all of that stuff?
Nothing. She only bought one eye cream. That was the initial.
Just a second. How much was the eye cream?
It was $600, I believe.
I have never, ever in my life spent $600 on eye cream.
Defendant Eric West claims the plaintiff, Linda Bernadeschi, purchased products with a no-refund policy. Linda felt she could not leave unless she bought the items.
So you still haven't answered my question. She comes into you within a relatively short period of time after she purchased all this product. She said, I don't have the money. I have to return this piece of equipment. And
She said that she, oh, sorry, I
Go
apologize.
ahead.
She said that she found the products cheaper online a week and a half to 2 weeks later. She was upset.
Just a second. Did you call and say you found the products cheaper online?
Yes, but it wasn't that. It wasn't 2 weeks later.
How much later?
A week at the most.
Oh, which products did you find cheaper?
The wand. I couldn't find the other products at all.
Okay, but you said you found the wand cheaper. Is that what you told him?
Yes.
Now, you looked for the wand. You had to go on, like Sarah does, on the machine.
Right.
And look for it. And now I have to assume, Ms. Barnadacci, I have to assume that if you went online to look at it, you tried it, because that makes sense. I want you to be very careful with your answer and not give me an answer that you think is going to help your case. But if I took the trouble to go online to try to find something, it would mean because I liked the product. So I would have tried it. No. Did you use the wand?
No, I have not. It's still in its original packaging. There's no way it could be opened and sealed back up. There's no way. I looked online because I wanted to see how much I got ripped off for.
Okay. And when you went online, how much did you find it for?
$597, I believe.
The same thing? Can I see what you found for $597?
Kind of.
Do you know what she's talking about?
I know that when you go and you buy a Cartier ring from Cartier, you can get it online for a cheaper price.
Listen to me, sir. It's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, sorry. My apologies.
Mr. West.
I see what she's talking about. It's a very similar looking device listed for $575 from a different store. Yeah. This is the initial one that I showed you for that amount. That's what the defendant handed us a copy of. This, for this price, is the same. I just copied and pasted the name of the machine into Google, and this came up. So it looks a little bit different, but same concept.
Would you go back to the other one, please, Sarah, the first one? And I want you to show me the comments that gave it a 5-star rating. 2 reviews.
Yeah, there.
I just want to look at it.
Looks like one from 2019.
Okay, let me see the next one, please.
And now that I'm reading it, this looks as if it's for a different device. This says electrobionic.
So the review
that's listed here looks to be for a different device.
A different product.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, she found it. Okay. She found it for me.
Sorry.
She found it for me, a different color, whatever. Anyway, so you called him about a week later.
Yes.
You called him about a week later and said, I found it cheaper.
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
He said, well, I can't give you a refund. He said that would have to be up to corporate. So I'll have to get a hold of them and get back with you. Well, he never did.
Taking what you say is true, you called him a week later and said, I found this very expensive product. The other thing were facial creams and potions and lotions, whatever. I'm not so concerned about those. I'm concerned about this $8,000 item. So you called and said to him with regard to the $8,000 item, I found it cheaper.
I don't think I told him that, no.
Okay, now let me read the police report. Okay, have you seen the police report, sir?
No, I have not.
Okay, so this is a police report by an officer who you don't know and doesn't know you. What happened was on the 8th of March, he received a dispatch to go to a location because the plaintiff had complained that she felt on the 21st of February that she couldn't leave the store and she spent over $9,000 at the store. So he went to see her because the case was a false imprisonment case. And it said, while officer was en route, he asked his dispatch if there was any history involving your location. And it said there were 2 previous incidents involving your store. You're aware of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And he read the papers of the events. There were 2 different complaints, 2 different complainants that were very similar that were reported by this plaintiff. It said that the other 2 victims were lured into the store and they felt as if they were not able to leave until they purchased products. One of the reports stated that the victim had spent over $100,000 on recurring charges and products that she didn't want. So in a very small area, there's a little history there. I'm reading you what the complaints are, sir. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me finish. Okay, so the next day on February 22nd, you said you wanted a refund for the device. This is what you say, not for the creams, not for anything else, just for the device.
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, she didn't pay for the creams. She paid for 1 cream out of all the creams that she got.
Whatever.
Okay.
But that's not where you made your money.
No, I know. It's on the machine.
That's not where you made your money, is on the lotions and potions. Okay, suspect 2, that was you, told he was unable to give her a refund and would have to be done by corporate. Were you the one who told her that?
I spoke to her.
That's
No, I
either a
did not
yes
say
or a
that.
no.
No, I did not say that.
Tell me what you said.
I told her that she signed a no refunds agreement, and she understood that she purchased the sale, that it was a final sale because she got what she received.
What did she receive?
She received 6 months worth of services that she did not want, which were complimentary. She also received a full skin regimen, day cream, night cream, cleanser, toner, eye serum, eye cream, peeling gel.
And she paid how much for all of that stuff?
Nothing. She only bought one eye cream. That
Well,
was the initial.
Just a second. How much was the eye cream?
It was $600, I believe.
Do you still run that place when you're not sunning in Miami?
No, and those are the only.
Just a second. It takes an awful lot for somebody who feels as if they've been taken advantage of to actually go to the police and said, I was duped by this dope, or a dope that was duped by this dope.
Defendant Eric West claims the plaintiff, Linda Bernadeschi, purchased products with a no refund policy. Linda felt she could not leave unless she bought the items.
The eye cream was $600. Okay. All right. Mr. West, I'm not going to waste any more time with this case. You're going to get your $8,000 back when Mr. West gets back his sealed wand. Do you understand?
Yes.
If it's been opened.
It hasn't.
If it's been opened, it belongs to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
If it's been opened and it came in a sealed package, it belongs to you. As soon as Mr. West receives, you're still in the same location? Are you still in the same location? That's either a yes or a no.
I'm not in the location, no.
What?
There's another operator there, but just for the record, I believe that we opened the device because she wanted to know how to use it at the store.
Just a second.
Okay.
So then you have no problem,
Okay.
sir. Do you understand?
Yes.
Unless she can return the item to you sealed, because she says it's sealed, and there's no way that it could have been opened. That's what she told me. If she opened it, that means she tried it. And if she tried it, it belongs to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
So within 5 days, he gets the product back. What?
I just want to show you this final sale
Just a
agreement
second.
that she wrote.
I understand what it says, sir. I understand what it says. I also understand that your little company had 2 prior complaints from that location. And it takes an awful lot for somebody who feels as if they've been taken advantage of to actually go to the police. Most people just write it off and said, I was being a real schlemiel and I was duped by this dope, or a dope that was duped by this dope. And just say,
Your Honor.
I'm going to eat it. What I'm telling you, sir, is I buy an awful lot of junk for my face. That's what old people do. They buy lotions and potions and stuff. I even steal some of hers. And I have plenty of dough. I have never, ever in my life spent $600 on eye cream. Ever. And so if she spent $600 on eye cream, that means she could have bathed in all the other products and you still would have made money. She is going to get her money back for this worthless piece of accessory, because it's worthless to her because she hasn't used it and she doesn't want it. And she's going to get it back from you when she produces the sealed package. That's it. And you're her witness?
Yes.
Do you live close by to this shop?
Yes.
Do you still run that place when you're not sunning in Miami?
No, and those are the only.
Just a second. The answer is no. What happened to that business at that location?
There's another operator coming in, and our contract ended recently. So there's another company
What do you
coming
mean?
in to run it.
Sounds like such a Ponzi scheme. The whole thing sounds like such a Ponzi scheme.
No, it's called COVID.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,000 when she produces the sealed item. Thank you very much. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
This woman clearly had a bad episode of buyer's remorse, was emotionally unstable, used somebody else's credit cards that claims to be her husband, and God only knows what other kind of schemes she's trying to pull.
Well, I think the judge made a very sound decision because the guy is a total fraud.
She actually took advantage of me and took my time for 3.5, almost 4 hours, asking me, what is this? How does this work? What is this? How does that work? And I literally used all these products that she purchased and got to see results from that she was happy with when she left.
Absolutely manipulated me, went out of his way to manipulate me.
Well, she opened it in the store, so if she does return it, she'll have to seal it again with some kind of plastic sealer that they use like for those old VHS tapes when they used to seal them after you watched them from Hollywood Video.
Beware. because there's a lot of frauds out there.
I stand by my products.
The product is intact.
For once in my life, I am so glad that when I'm walking on the street, and we've encountered these people in our walks just around, like you said, around our neighborhood, for my resting bitch face. Because never once have they looked at me and said, she looks like an easy target for us to pull into the store. Not once.
Would you give me an example of
Just, I think living in New York City as a woman alone, taking the subway for 3 years.
I want you to look at me.
No, I can't recreate it. You know it when you see it. You know it when you see it. I'm sure it's on one of our episodes. But I just am so disgusted with people like that know exactly what they're doing. He suns himself in Miami on the weekends, all on the backs of these poor older people who feel pressured, and maybe they, like she was saying, she lives with someone who's a recluse, who I'm sure she doesn't speak to that many people, and that's the whole scam. And I just feel so terrible that this guy takes pride in his business that is scamming people.
It looks like a little bit of a shady business that he went into for $200,000, and now somebody else took it over.
And not anyone with a last name.
Yeah,
There's
right.
never anyone with a last name involved in these things.
People have to be careful. You know, in the law, caveat emptor, let a buyer beware. That's okay. But this over-aggressive salesmanship reminds me, Sarah, of something that the Legal Aid Society, who were the defense team in family court, would argue in a closing statement in a robbery case to me. They would say to me, it's not a robbery. He was aggressively panhandling. That's what it was. It wasn't a robbery. It was an aggressive panhandle. This is just aggressive salesmanship, is what he's saying. Well, the line crosses between aggressive salesmanship and and what amounts to, at least in her case, and the case of at least two other people who went into that store feeling that they were uncomfortable about leaving unless they purchased something. You know, you and I are tough birds. We would, you say, well, we're leaving. Oh, really? We're not leaving until we buy something? Yeah, right. But some people can't do that. That's not in their character. Anyway, if somebody puts them out of business, another business will just pop up. Because as, I don't know, was it W.C. Fields said, there's a sucker born every minute. I'm not exactly sure who said it, but somebody will.
Kimberly Gutierrez is suing her mother, Rhonda George, for false allegations, debit card charges, and personal belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2131, Gutierrez versus George.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Gutierrez, this is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And who is this?
My grandmother.
And that's your daughter?
Yes.
I'm reading the complaint and the answer, and this is what your complaint is about. You claim that your mother had you falsely arrested, as a result of which you spent 4 months in jail. While you were in jail, it is your claim that your mother used a debit card of yours, I think $3,000 worth, and you had some belongings at her house that you want. I gather that you've had some problems in your own life. You have at least 3 children.
Yes.
Was the state ever involved in placing the children in foster care?
No.
And what about your daughter?
My daughter, yes.
And how old is your daughter?
She's 19 months.
At what point did the state become involved with your daughter?
In May of this year, May 18th of this year, when there was false allegations made when my mom refused to give me my daughter back.
In May, when you brought your daughter to your mother's house, when?
I called my brother on May 17th of 2022, and I asked him to babysit my daughter.
Your brother. And does your brother live with your mother?
Yes, he was staying with her at that time.
So on the 17th, you asked your brother, who was staying with your mother, if he would babysit for your daughter. Where were you going?
I was needing to go to Fresno, and I had just received my income tax check. So I needed to go to Fresno, and I was on foot because my car was impounded the day prior.
Were you going alone?
To Fresno, yes.
So you brought your daughter on the 17th of May to your mother's house, and your brother was supposed to watch him, according to you, while you went to Fresno.
Yeah, he met me down the street, actually, because there's a restraining order, so I didn't actually go to the resident.
Who has a restraining order?
My mother has a restraining order on me.
Is the restraining order that she has against you a final order or a temporary order?
It's good for 3 years, that's all I know.
That's a final order. Was that a final order of protection after a trial, or did you consent to it?
I was not notified of the court date. Didn't consent to anything.
Okay, so it was a default.
I don't know what that means.
It means you didn't show up and they entered a final order of protection in favor of your mother. So you're not permitted to go to her home.
Right.
Since that's not really the subject of this, I don't have to get into it. In any event, you went on the 17th, you dropped your child off at your mother's house, your brother was there, and then what happened?
I finally got to Fresno, I got a ride, I got to the check cashing place. It literally took me...
Don't tell me, I'm not interested in that. 17th, you dropped the child off. You were supposed to pick the child up when?
That evening.
On the 17th?
Yes.
And did you?
I showed up it was a little before 10. I showed up, I called my brother, I said, I'm down the street. He was like, yeah, I'll be right there.
10 o'clock at night?
It was almost, ma'am, I was on foot. And
It's just, I asked you, 10 o'clock at night.
It was right before 10, yes.
Okay.
When I got there, I called him. It had been about 15 minutes had gone by, and I called him back, and I said, where are you at? And he said, Mom won't let me leave with the baby. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, Mom won't let me leave with the baby. My mother instinct kicked in, and I went in like fight or flight, and I walked down to my mom's house, and I knocked on the door and was asking for my daughter. I finally came to my...
Okay, so when your brother said that to you, instead of going to the police, you violated the order of protection.
I ended up leaving and calling the sheriff.
Okay, but you didn't. You went...
Of course, yes. I was going for my daughter. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what happened at 10 o'clock at night or 10:30?
Yes. I finally realized that about 5 minutes of being at the house, I was like, okay, you need to leave. So I left because she wouldn't open the door to give me my daughter. I left. I called the sheriff. And so I told them the situation. So they had walked down to my mother's and let her know that what she was doing was basically...
No, not what she was doing. The police came
and told her
with
they
you.
could arrest her and told her that if she did not, that she needed to get my daughter back. But because it was late, the baby was already asleep. And so the cops that came back down to me and they said, look, we don't, because they knew me.
Whatever. I'm allowing you to give me a certain amount of hearsay so that I can make this story make sense.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand? But don't tell me because they knew you, what they thought.
Yes,
you were told to come back in the morning.
Yeah, the agreement was that between my mom and the sheriff was that I could pick up Malia in the morning. The sheriff told me to call before 6 o'clock in the morning before he got off his shift and that he would come back out and do another standby. The next morning came. Between me and my grandma, I had us call my mom. And
no, just a second. What does that mean between you and your grandma? Your agreement was you were supposed to call the sheriff. The sheriff, according to you before 6.
I called my grandma.
No, not the grandma. The agreement was you weren't supposed to call your grandma. You were supposed to call the
but
sheriff.
I needed a ride. So I called my grandma to have her come pick me up.
Just a second. Where were you?
I was staying at a friend's house. I didn't live in Selma.
Just a second. You were staying at what friend's house?
The sheriff came, got behind us, and tried to, pin us in, and my grandma went to take off.
So your grandmother was driving?
Yes, ma'am.
And she was trying to evade the police to go someplace else?
Kimberly Gutierrez claims her mother, Rhonda George, owes for debit card charges and personal belongings.
You were staying at what friend's house?
My friend Isaiah's.
Isaiah?
Yes. I stayed the night there waiting for my daughter.
Just a second. Isaiah. Isaiah what?
Bonilla.
And what is your relationship with him?
He's my best friend. He's been my best friend since high school.
Where are you living now?
I live with my grandmother right now since I was released.
Full time?
Right now, yes.
What do you mean right now, yes?
I'm in the process of getting my own place.
Okay, so you called your grandmother and then?
Called the sheriff.
And then?
Waited for the sheriff to respond.
And then?
The sheriff did not respond for a few hours.
Okay, so you were waiting for the sheriff to respond. The sheriff did not respond until when?
It was after 7 o'clock in the morning, and it wasn't even... Yes, ma'am, 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Your daughter is, according to you, 19 months old? 19 months old. And she had prior to that been living with you?
Yeah, she was living with me all the time, yes.
She was living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now let's get back to this arrest that you had. According to your papers, your daughter was with you up until that time. What time did she wake up in the morning?
Usually she wakes up between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, well, then could you tell me why, if she wakes up between 7:30 and 8, why you would even contemplate picking her up before 8 o'clock in the morning?
Because one of my issues was with certain officers that would have been responding, and the officer that responded the night of the incident, he told me if you wanted me to be the officer to respond, you need to call me before I get off my shift.
Fine, but he didn't respond to you. But according to you, he didn't respond to you.
No, it was
so
a different
then my
officer.
question to you is...
He did respond at 7 o'clock in the morning.
And did what?
It was a horrible mess.
Well, he did what?
They responded. When they responded, he showed up. The officer told me that he did not want to be there. He said, if I have my way, you'll never see your daughter again. And I looked at him, and I said, wow, okay.
What do you mean you looked at him? Where were you when you looked at him?
I was right next to him, but I just...
Where, at the precinct or at your house?
No, down the street from my mom's.
Okay, so he responded to you when you were down the street at your mother's house, and he said, I'm not getting involved in this, and if I had my way, you would never have your daughter. And so what did you do?
So at that point, my grandma pulled up, and I told him, I said, your assistance is no longer needed, and that my grandma could just get my daughter. And he says, well, you already called me. The deputy did. So I said, okay, whatever. He asked me if I had somewhere to live, and I said yes, and whatever. And so he went down to my mom's. When he went down to my mom's, he was supposed to just go down there and get my daughter. When he was taking too long, I could walk so far this way, and I could see straight down my mom's street. So I did. When I did, I seen that my mom was out there just giving him an earful. I know this woman very well, okay? So I just imagined what was being said about me. Well, I guess the back door is screwed and nailed shut at the house. I don't know why.
I don't know. It's not important.
Yeah. So anyways, my best friend went over the back fence.
What do you mean your best friend?
Isaiah Bonilla.
Oh, so you brought Isaiah with you.
He went.
Just a second. So you have your grandmother, and then you've got Isaiah, your best friend, also to go to your mother's house.
Yes, ma'am. He got my daughter.
Isaiah brought her to where you were.
Yes.
And then what happened?
I started walking back towards Isaiah's house. When I started walking back towards Isaiah's house, my grandma pulled up in her car and she was like, are you ready to go get your car out of the impound lot? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. And so I got in her back seat with my daughter. When I got in the back seat, I got in the middle. Well, then she was like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen. Your mom's over there saying a whole bunch of stuff to the deputies, so I don't know what's gonna happen. And so I was like, well, I gotta go get my stuff from Isaiah's. So I go to jump back out the car. As I go to jump back out the car.
But just a second. Now you have your daughter.
Because I needed my wallet. My bag was at Isaiah's. My purse and everything was at Isaiah's. I was gonna go back and pick it up. Well, right when we were gonna go back, the sheriff came, got behind us, and tried to like pin us in, and my grandma went to take off.
So your grandmother was driving.
Yes, ma'am.
And she was trying to evade the police to go someplace else.
Yes, ma'am.
And how many police cars were involved?
One.
Were there ever any more than one police car?
Once we got to the police department, of course, there's a police department.
No, I'm talking about the number of police cars. So there's a police car now.
Like coming behind us? No, it was just one.
Was just one?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were accelerating
No.
to get there? Was the police car siren on?
No.
Well, how did you know that he was trying to pull you over?
Because he tried to hit her car.
Oh, that would give you a clue. So you're telling me he tried to hit your grandmother's car without notifying you in any way to pull over?
Yes, ma'am. That's why I spent 4 months in jail, and I beat my case. I went to trial and beat my case. Everything was dismissed.
I'm not responsible for the criminal justice system. I'm only responsible for what goes on here.
Yes, ma'am.
So I assume once you got to the police station, both you and your grandmother were arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in May?
Yes, ma'am.
And now we're, uncross your arms. And now we're in December?
Yes, ma'am.
Of the same year?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're out of jail?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been out of jail for about?
Since August 25th.
Who does your daughter live with?
Right now, she's with a mentor. She's my ex-husband's aunt, ma'am.
And who placed her with your ex-husband's aunt?
I did.
Not the court?
No, I requested her.
Does the child's great aunt have guardianship?
No,
custody?
I'm getting my daughter back, ma'am.
But for the last 3 months, she's been with this aunt.
Right, because Child Protective Services did get involved, and Child Protective Services, I've been doing everything that...
That's what I asked you. I asked you whether Child Protective Services
Child Protective Services did get involved with my daughter, yes.
Did. That's what I assumed.
And I've been drug testing, I've been doing...
Just a second.
Yes,
That's what I assumed, that Child Protective Services was involved. And so if Child Protective Services are involved, then they are overseeing the child's placement with the aunt. You have an ongoing case.
Yes, ma'am.
Probate court.
No, not probate.
Which one? Family court?
Family court, yes.
When was the case opened with regard to your daughter in the family court?
May 18th, the day I got arrested, ma'am.
And that child became involved with the foster care system in May. Okay, so your grandmother also spent a little time in jail. How much?
2 weeks.
I quite frankly don't understand your case.
While I was in jail, Your Honor, while I was incarcerated, my mom had all my debit cards, my ID. She had went and actually, because of me getting arrested, she had went to Isaiah's and picked up all of my stuff.
You mean, just a second. Let me understand this. It is your claim that the reason that you had to go to Isaiah's house was to get your pocketbook, your wallet, your credit card that you left there.
But I never made it there.
I understand that. And Isaiah, clearly, from what you tell me, knew of the problem because he was part of this little conspiracy to get your daughter out of the house and was at the back of the house to pick up your daughter who was being put over the fence. So why would Isaiah give your mother?
Because she went over there with a baseball bat and busted out his windows. On February 4th this year, I lost my twin, okay? And that was the first time I had contacted my mother because I was going through it and I messaged her and I told her, I said, I really need my mom right now. If anything, I need my mom right now.
Kimberly Gutierrez is accusing her mother, Rhonda George, of wrongfully using her debit card and keeping her belongings.
So why would Isaiah give your mother?
Because she went over there with a baseball bat and busted out his windows. And the reason why all of my things were at my mother's was because I hadn't lived at my mom's for over a year.
What your case is about
is my belongings.
You claim that your mother went over and got your wallet from Isaiah's because I asked you what you were doing here. I certainly am not looking into the allegations of false arrest. It sounds as if you did the absolute wrong thing in trying to regain your daughter, whose custody, actually, you lost at a dispositional hearing and was determined to be a dependent child and placed in foster care. That's what happened here.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not even addressing your claims of false arrest.
Okay,
What you
so
did
then-
was actually the wrong thing. I said, so what are you suing for? Now,
My
you said you're...
belongings,
Okay,
my
what?
money.
Just a second. What money?
She used my CalFresh, which is my EBT food stamps, and my CalWorks, which is my cash aid through the welfare department.
Just a second. So you're suing her for taking your food stamps and your welfare check.
Right.
Just a second. Your food stamps and your welfare check.
And this is the statement from my tax return of all the money that was on there.
On where?
On my debit card. It had over $3,000 on it, and I marked what was used after she had picked it up. And then these are receipts from some of my belongings that was at her house.
Just a second. You haven't lived in your mother's house for...
I moved back to my mother's in the
Just
beginning.
a second.
Yes, ma'am.
You hadn't lived in your mother's house. According to what you said to me, Whitney, was it a year ago? Didn't you say that you moved out of
My
your
mom
mother?
allowed me to come back.
Because there was an order of protection.
She had called me. I was living in Fresno, ma'am.
Just a second. You hadn't lived in your mother's house. You said you were living with your grandmother. For how long were you living with your grandmother before
I
May?
said I was living with my grandmother right now. I was living in Fresno, ma'am.
I want to know what property you think...
My clothing, my husband's clothing, my daughter's bassinet. I had jewelry there. I had all of my clothing.
Why would all of your clothing be there? You were living with your grandmother.
I hadn't moved into my grandmother's until I got out of jail. I was living in Fresno, and my mom...
Just a second.
You're not letting me talk.
I'm not understanding your movements.
Okay, my mom kicked me out in 2021, okay? My daughter was just a few weeks old. My mom kicked me out due to her boyfriend.
She kicked you out.
Yes.
And?
When she kicked me out, I went through Marjorie Mason, and Marjorie Mason had placed me in hotels. I was placed in hotels for about 3 or 4 months, okay? And then it was about January of 21. I was pregnant with twins. They had genetic defects. On February 4th this year, I lost my twins, okay? And that was the first time I had contacted my mother because I was going through it, and I messaged her and I told her, I said, I really need my mom right now. If anything, I need my mom right now. My daughter, she had not seen my daughter. She was not a part of my daughter's life. I did not speak to my mother, nothing. So she made an agreement that she would watch my daughter, because I had to go to San Francisco because I was too far along in my pregnancy, and it was just a big old mess.
Do you have any of your daughter's property?
No.
Okay, now, let's talk about this card. Did you pick up her property from Isaiah? That's either a yes or a no, after the 18th of May.
Well, how do I answer that when I did pick up her property, but her cards were not in there? Her driver's license wasn't in there. Her food stamp card wasn't in there.
What were you doing at Isaiah's?
So she asked...
Was this when she was in jail?
Yes, right after she got arrested. So I went down there. No problem. He handed it right to me. Look in my wallet, make sure everything's in there. Like I said, I don't know if it was her driver's license or ID was missing, her food stamp card, and the other card, the bank card. I don't know how to get proof, but her best friend, he cashed out everybody money. There was a bunch of people, even himself.
The information right here.
Even himself and his girlfriend. I don't want to get into the whole...
I don't want to get into it either. It's far too complicated for me. Is what you're telling me that you never used a card that she had?
No, I did not.
Because I'm not concerned about food stamps or welfare.
I did not.
You're suing the wrong person. You were in jail, so you didn't need money from welfare. What proof do you have that
I have my bank statements.
What proof do you have that your mother withdrew money?
She was the one that went and picked up my cards.
Oh, I don't know that. That's not what she says, and you have no proof. Isaiah's not here, correct?
No.
I don't doubt you when you say that somebody used your card. I just need proof
My
to
mother,
show.
I know that she was supposed to get my daughter from CPS. She was supposed to go get a crib with my card, and I have and my grandma can.
I just want you to show me.
Ma'am.
No. That your mother. I believe that people used your card.
She used my card.
No, I don't know that. I need you to show me proof that your mother
How am I supposed to show? I have my bank statements.
Then I'll take a look at your bank statement. If your bank statement tells me who used your card, then that's an easy. She said she did not. I just want you to show me proof that any of these were used. I mean, we have a lot of PlayStations, DoorDash, Amazon Marketplace.
And
all
I
of
was locked
those
up throughout the whole time.
I understand that. I suggest that you concentrate on getting yourself together. If you want to reunite your family, I suggest that you put your priorities in order.
Oh, they are in order.
Evidently not.
I work, I have a job, I go to school, I'm getting my own place, but I'm going to court, I'm getting my kids back.
Good.
Can I give you this?
I don't know what it is.
Well, I just want you to look at it.
Can I see it? You're telling me this is part of your daughter's criminal history? What is this?
No, I'm just showing you she just got out of jail just a couple of days ago.
They haven't picked up charges, Your Honor.
You were arrested on November 28th?
Yes.
I'm not going to let you tell me about this. You have a lawyer?
Yes.
As I said, Ms. Gutierrez, if you're trying to work to get your family back together,
Yes, ma'am.
and your kids back together,
Yes, ma'am.
it would be a good idea to think about having more children until you get these children back under your roof. We're done here. Your case is dismissed.
You have a good day.
This court is adjourned.
Oh, I love her decision. I don't want to have nothing to do with any of them. They've burned their bridges.
Perfect example of suffer the little children. So you have 3 kids, none of whom live with you. They go back and forth between a grandmother who would participate in evading the police, but the police had to stop them by ramming the car.
Yeah, I was going to say there was something in the papers about a crash and.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम दोस्तों, एक बार फिर आप लोगों को खुशामदीद है हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल पर। आज मैं फिर आपकी खिदमत में हाजिर हुआ हूँ एक नई वीडियो के साथ, एक नए टॉपिक के साथ। वीडियो शुरू करने से पहले आप सब लोगों से गुजारिश है, जो भी हमारे चैनल पर नए हैं वो हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दें और बेल आइकन को भी दबा दें। आज का जो हमारा टॉपिक है वो है साइड पिलर कॉक। ये वर्ड आपने काफ़ी बार सुना होगा, तकरीबन आपने कभी ना कभी ये चीज़ ज़रूर ली होगी अपने बेसन के लिए। जो आसान लफ्ज़ों में इसको कहा जाता है बेसन की टूटी। ठीक है, आप इस हिसाब से सही समझ जाएंगे, बेसन की टूटी, एक हाथ वाली। ठीक है, ये साइड पिलर कॉक है। आज मैं आपको बताऊंगा पीवीसी साइड पिलर कॉक, यानी प्लास्टिक का साइड पिलर कॉक। बेसन की टूटी प्लास्टिक की, एक हाथ वाली। ठीक है, इसमें दो किस्म की टूटियाँ होती हैं इसमें। ये आपके सामने रखी हुई हैं, एक ये होती है, ठीक है, कलर में। ठीक है, वाइट, एवरी, ग्रे, बेज, सी ग्रीन, ब्लू, पिंक, ऐसे कलर में साइड पिलर कॉक प्लास्टिक वाला। ठीक है, इसको कहा जाता है। ये सारा प्लास्टिक है। ठीक है, ये सारा। और एक होता है क्रोम में साइड पिलर कॉक, ये आपके सामने है, क्रोम सीपी जिसको कहा जाता है, यानी क्रोम प्लेटेड। अंदर से ये भी प्लास्टिक ही है, ये दोनों प्लास्टिक ही है। ठीक है, एक पे कलर किया गया है, ठीक है, और एक में क्रोम किया गया है। बाकी चीज़ें दोनों एक ही हैं, आपके सामने है। ठीक है, तो ये प्लास्टिक के जो साइड पिलर कॉक होते हैं उसमें ये 2 ही किस्में होती हैं। ठीक है, एक कलर में होता है, वाइट, एवरी, ग्रे, बेज, सी ग्रीन, ब्लू, पिंक, ब्लैक, डार्क ब्लू, पर्पल वगैरह, ये कलर में हो गया। बाकी एक होता है क्रोम में, क्रोम प्लेटेड, ये जो सीधे हाथ पे रखा हुआ है। ठीक है, ये आज की हमारी वीडियो थी, सिर्फ छोटी सी वीडियो बनाई है आज साइड पिलर कॉक पे, क्योंकि लोगों को मुश्किलात होती है। दुकान पे हमारे अक्सर लोग आते हैं, बोलते हैं बेसन की टूटी, नाम नहीं बोला जा रहा होता। ठीक है, इनका असल नाम है साइड पिलर कॉक। इंग्लिश वर्ड है, ये बाहर का वर्ड है, साइड पिलर कॉक, प्लास्टिक कलर में या प्लास्टिक क्रोम में। ठीक है, तो आज हमारी वीडियो यहाँ पे कंप्लीट हो रही है। अपने दोस्त को इजाज़त दीजिए। फ़ी अमानिल्लाह।